Good morning, everyone. Good to see so many people at City Hall this morning on what I think is a very special day. On July the 1st in 2021, which was about a year and 7 months ago, I was sworn in as your mayor. And one of my first acts as mayor was to establish and present the Earnest Good Change Award. I wanted to do this because as I was making my way around the city during that time, I met so many people who were doing so many good things that I didn't realize were happening, and had been doing it quietly for a long time, and they're still doing it. And as I was talking to people, I kept thinking, how can we make everybody in the town aware of all these good things that are happening from all walks of life? And I was talking to someone that I met not long after I moved to Columbus in 1987 and went to work for the Commercial Dispatch, and his name is Earnest Brown. Now, my future in-laws had been friends with Earnest for a long time and had known him well. From my time at the Dispatch, am I looking over my glasses? Everybody gives me a hard time about that. As I was moving around and getting to know Earnest better, and also covering him through the newspaper, I began to see so many of the things he was doing in the community. You know, people jokingly called him the mayor of Northside. I think Earnest would have been a great mayor for all the city of Columbus, still could be. Earnest served as the president of the Neighborhood Improvement Association, where he focused on youth activities, neighborhood blight, and crime prevention. But he also worked for the entire city of Columbus. But he understood that in his neighborhood, which had not always been, as I say, the recipient of a lot of the resources of the city and the attention of the city, he found ways to do it and encourage others to do the same. In my speech last year, during the inauguration, I mentioned Arlene Peak, a community counselor who's from Columbus originally, moved away, came back, volunteers with those who were suffering from mental illness and incarceration. I mentioned Columbus police officer Rod Porter, who I found out during the campaign, he didn't tell me, others did, that he uses his own money to buy food and shoes for local children out of his own pocket. I mentioned friends of mine, Ryan and Catherine Munson, who are small business owners in the city, who do a lot through their business to give back to the arts and to those in need within the community. Many times they do it very quietly, but I was also very inspired by that. On June the 12th of this year, Pamela Turner and other volunteers that she recruited organized the Seasons of Change Community Parade, and I was happy to ride in that parade. Her vision, she spoke to me about it several times. She said God had put it on her heart, was to highlight folks like Henry Williams and organizations like Parole to Pride, Contact Helpline Suicide Prevention, Saving Grace Missions, Building Bridges of Hope, the Community Benefit Committee, and the Boys and Girls Club, just to name a few of all the people who tirelessly work to reach out to our community. It was a sweet, fun parade, small parade, but there was a good gathering afterwards in front of the Boys and Girls Club. I would have liked to have seen more folks in Columbus there. But it was a real highlight of the type of nonprofits and volunteer groups that have been established by the citizens of this friendly city to give back and help others. In the audience today, I see Trish Evans, who is originally from Columbus and has recently moved back. She's been working tirelessly to gather information on Sandfield Cemetery in ways that we can finally get the cemetery to a level that would be equal to what we have at Friendship Cemetery, a cemetery that's been long overlooked. She's embraced finding ways to help the city gather money through grants. She's volunteered tireless efforts to research that. I also see Emily Liner in the audience today, a friend who, during the pandemic, opened a local bookstore in Columbus. We didn't have a bookstore anymore. She's originally from the Gulf Coast, but attended MSMS and fell in love with Columbus. as she graduated from Georgetown and went on to Chapel Hill. She had a very successful business career in D.C., but she always came back to volunteer for governor's school here. And then during the pandemic, she decided to move back to Columbus and open an independent bookstore that we desperately needed. During that first year, there was an accident that a car ran through her business and closed it down for several months. And for a new business owner, that's a nightmare. But what Emily saw was the love of this community who embraced her and helped her keep her business going during the time she couldn't even keep her doors open. And you know what Emily did during that time too? She kept giving back. She kept helping students. She's volunteering with me with the Mayor's Youth Council. She never let that setback keep her from her love and passion for giving back to the community. Now, there are, countless examples of people that I could mention, people I've never met. And I almost feel bad about just mentioning a few each time I have this talk. But again, I think it's important that we continue to highlight the good works of folks. And I'm going to do everything I can to mention everybody in this city, and I hope that y'all will help me do the same. It was back in the spring while volunteering with Rhonda Sanders and Julie Cooley Parker on the South Side to help some local citizens who were having a hard time. Some groups pulled together some volunteers to help clean up around their home, do some repairs. And during that time, I was standing around in work clothes and gloves with these two ladies. And I was talking to them, and I put my arms up on their shoulders because I whispered to them that I wanted to give them this award. And they were shocked and honored. And ironically, somebody took a picture of that. They had no idea what we were talking about or anything. And so I look back at that picture very often, and it helps remind me of all the people who are doing good things in this city every day, having good conversations about the needs of the folks here, and nobody realizes what they're doing. Again, there are countless examples that I could give of these two ladies' efforts, individually and through the Benefits Committee, which many of y'all know about. One of the things that touched my heart about these two ladies the most was the way they took care of a citizen named Mildred here in our community, who was on hard times. A very wonderful lady, and many citizens in the community had helped her over time. During my time in knowing these ladies very well, they helped her get a hip replacement, along with many other volunteers. People probably sitting in this room helped with it too. But what that showed me was that their friendship, which grew out of a desire to give back to the community, Rhonda, a long-standing citizen here, Julie Cooley Parker, a not-so-recent move here, but it's been about 10 years. How long has it been now? 10 years. I knew Julie before she knew me because she was my daughter's favorite professor in college, and I would hear her talking about Dr. Cooley all the time, Dr. Parker all the time. And of course, I knew Rhonda before she knew me because I've seen her doing her work throughout the city for many, many years. But when Julie came to town, she was one of those citizens who just didn't want to move here, even though her career was in Starkville at Mississippi State. She wanted to find ways to give back to the community. She wanted to address things that she thought was problems. And so she was introduced to Rhonda Sanders, and they began working together. But the thing that I want to honor them for today too is not only did they work together to do better for the community, they became like sisters. Their families became friends. Their passion for what they were doing strengthened their friendship and brought them together in ways that I think is a very good example for all of us today. Our society is far too divided. Our society is far too angry most of the time. Our society is quick to comment and slow to listen. And I think that the relationship of these two ladies embraces what it means to do all those things. Don't look at someone because of the color of their skin. Don't look at somebody because of the where your background's from. Don't look at somebody because you've always known them, they're always from here. Don't look at somebody as a stranger when they come into the city, but look at their hearts. look at their minds. You know, they're very two different ladies in many ways. Rhonda says that Julie, who is a college professor, helps her out when she busts a verb somewhere. Julie will tell you that Rhonda will bring her back down to earth sometimes when she gets frustrated and impatient with things, which we all do. They lean on each other. They care for each other. And our community is much better for it today. All the names I've mentioned are public servants and not politicians. And to me, that is where the real change happens in this community. So I encourage you today and throughout the holiday season to think about all the Earnest Browns, the Rhonda Sanders, and the Julie Cooley Parkers that you know. Write them a note. Tell them thank you. Or simply just reach out and give them a hug. But whatever you do, always think and look at the joy on their face, because the joy on their face, as you would see with Mr. Brown's most all the time, was because they were truly helping people and giving back. Now, before I present them with their awards, I want to also say thank you to a couple of people in the room that have been very helpful. Mr. Joe Dillon, who is on contract with the city as our public information officer, goes way beyond the call of duty in Columbus. He works countless hours without pay, helping others, helping me, and I really appreciate him for that today. I also want to mention our city attorney, Jeff Turnage, who is here today too, because on the award that the ladies are about to receive, and the original one that Ernest Brown received, is a painting of City Hall that he did. He's quite talented artist. He is also in a position as city attorney for as long as he's been in. He gets caught in the political crossfires sometimes, unfortunately. But what a lot of people don't know about Jeff that I do is he also spends a lot of hours in the community. He and his wife Ann are philanthropists. They've helped the MSMS and other organizations in the city. He also goes the extra mile to try to help, do the work that we don't have employees that do. He does countless things for the city and has for many years that people never know about, and he never tells anybody. He's more likely to catch grief in the media than a thank you for the extra mile that he goes. So I wanted to say thank you to those two people today as well. And now, without any further ado, because I know people are busy and want to get on the road, Ernest, if you would come up here and join me, and I want to present these two nice ladies with the Ernest Brown Good Change Award. If I can bring it up. Come on up here, Ernest. We'll do it quick. Okay. Julie and Rhonda, if y'all would come up. And I mentioned earlier why I wanted to do this award together for them. But what we say on the award about the Earnest Brown Good Change Award is it's for goodwill and enthusiasm in working with other Columbus residents for the betterment of our shared community. And I really think that it's important that we have an award in this city where elected officials are recognizing volunteers in the city for all the good work that they do, because I can promise you that cities that are thriving and doing well are not because of your elected officials. It's because of people like this who care, who love, and want to give back. Yep, y'all's name is on both of them because I wanted them to be together. Congratulations. You're welcome. All right. Mr. Brown, would you like to say a few words while you're at the stage? Well, you want to wave to everybody?
Officer Sanders, I would like to say this. Back in the days, we had to work just together to clean up the north side. It was 20-something years we worked together.
Long.
Officer Sanders.
28.
28. She was my pal. Chief
St. John and Sanders.
Yeah.
Lots of them.
Yeah, we did a lot of stuff over there.
Yeah, did.
Thank y'all so much.
I appreciate
You're
you.
proud of her.
Thank you for setting the example for us.
Okay.
We
Ronnie,
appreciate
would you like to say something?
Just thank you, everybody that came, and thank you to the people in our community. We could not do what we do if it wasn't for the love of our community. And just say thank you.
Julie?
So again, I reiterate what Lieutenant Sanders said. Thank you for being here today. The mayor really hit it when he talked about friendship. So when I moved here 10 years ago, I had lots going on in my life. New job, new place to live, but very few friends. And so I prayed for a long time that God would send me a friend. He did more than that. He did send me a sister. And so I completely appreciate this honor. It is an honor to stand in front of you today. I appreciate the example that was set before us that we can continue to uphold and serve our community. So thank you.
Thank you all very much. I was going to point out one thing too, as I was trying to last minute throw all my notes together, and I've been thinking in my mind for quite some time what I wanted to say. I'm not somebody that really does write a speech very well and then read from it, but when I was going through my notes, I printed out the article from the Dispatch from when we presented this award, and I got a chuckle because here's a picture of me with Earnest as I'm presenting him the first award, and look who's hovering right there in the background. Lieutenant Sanders with a big smile on her face. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for today. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you for everybody. I didn't mention everybody's name in the room today, but I could honestly know that there are people, everybody in this room has done something for the community or somebody else in their life, and we appreciate that. And with that, everybody can go back to their Merry Christmas Day. Thank you so much.